In the 15th century, Rabbi Yisrael Isserlein was asked the following question that's recorded in his collection of responsa called the Trumas Hadeshen. He was asked about a small Jewish community that didn't even have 10 men. They didn't have a minyan on a typical Shabbos. And they were planning on going to one of the larger cities for Purim in order to hear Megillah with a minyan. They asked the Trumas Hadeshen whether they are required to also schlep to the bigger city in order to have a minyan to hear Parsha Zachor. And the Trumas Hadeshen responded that it's in fact more important to hear Parsha Zachor with a tzibor, with a minyan, than it is even to hear the Megillah. The Megillah you can read b'yachidus, by oneself or in a small group of less than a minyan. The Magen Avram disagrees, and he quotes this Trumas Hadeshen, says that they need not have bothered to go to the big town to hear Parsha Zachor with a minyan, because if they were going for Purim to hear Megillah with a minyan, that morning they would also hear the laning for Purim morning, which is from Parshas Beshalach, which includes Vayavo Amalek, the story of Amalek attacking the Jewish people. The Mishnah Berurah takes issue with the Magen Avram and says that although it's true that the Torah reading on Purim morning speaks of the battle, the egregious battle, the immoral battle of Amalek against the Jewish people, nonetheless, it does not fulfill one's requirement to hear Parsha Zachor, because it doesn't say the word Zachor. We read Parsha Zachor from Tetzaveh, and it is only in that instance that it says, remember what Amalek did to us, did to the Jewish people. And perhaps this machlokes, Magen Avram and Mishnah Berurah, can be understood as a fundamental dispute as what is the nature of hearing Parsha Zachor. Is it an exercise in recalling Jewish history, or is it an exercise in reliving and remembering Jewish memory? History is something that happened. Memory is something that happened to us, that impacts us. History is just facts. Memory is part of our identity. And therein perhaps lies the dispute. Is the reading of the Parshas Amalek enough to tell the history of that battle, which is found in Parshas Beshalach? Or no, as the Mishnah Berurah suggests, it's important that we understand that the story of Amalek, the story of those enemies of the Jewish people, those enemies of God himself, are part and parcel of our memory, part and parcel of our Jewish identity. And that seems to be the way the Jewish people have accepted Parsha Zachor. It's not just history, it's memory. That's why it's so important that we try our best to hear Parsha Zachor, the reading this coming Shabbos, either at the end of laning or at the end of davening, to hear this idea that the story of Amalek, the story of those who hate, those who are antagonistic towards Hashem and towards the Jewish people, are part and parcel of our memory, and we fight that and we remember that as part of our proud Jewish identity. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom.